boosted their MVP candidacy most on the final day of the MLS regular season?
Lionel Messi, who was already going to win. He was already going to win. We argued about this, or we discussed it on Friday. I made the case that from my perspective, he didn't play enough games. Right? It felt wrong to award somebody who didn't play in nearly as many games as a Cucho Hernandez did or a Christian Benteke did. I just Denis Bouanga, who finished out the season strong. Again, Bouanga 20 goals, Messi 20 goals. Obviously, Luis Suarez, who we kind of mentioned on Friday, but I think is going to get left out of most people's conversation because he plays alongside Lionel Messi. But Messi with the hat trick, Messi with just the difference he made when he stepped on the field. The Revs are bad.
He entered the game at 2-2 and the game ended 6-2. I mean, if you're going to demonstrate in one match why you were valuable, it's hard to argue with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll also point out, again, so I think the top four as I had them going into the final day were Benteke, Golden Boot winner, should be in the conversation, Lionel Messi, Denis Bouanga, Cucho Hernandez. Those for me were the four guys that were leading the way. Now you can argue that Suarez should be in there based on pure goal numbers. You can argue that Evander could be in there because where would Portland be without him? Like this is where we get into the semantics of, is a most valuable player award given to the best player in the league, backed up by numbers, or is it given to the most important player to his team? And then you're obviously taking into account what that team achieves. And in this case, because it's a regular season award, the fact that Christian Benteke won the Golden Boot puts him in the conversation. The fact that DC United did not get into the playoffs takes him right out of the conversation. He's no longer in the conversation. He's done. Sorry, Christian. You had an incredible season. It's not your fault. Christian, it's not your fault. It's everybody else's fault. I don't know. It's DC United not a good enough team around him to get into the playoffs. We could talk about Cucho Hernandez, a very, very good player, an incredible player on a good team, on maybe the second or third best team in the league in 2024. Absolutely deserves to be in the conversation. Denis Bouanga, kind of the same thing, right? Ends up with 20 goals. I'll point out, Denis Bouanga scored 7 times from the penalty spot. So take that for what it is. If you want to ding him for that, because those are penalty goals and not run of play goals, but he's obviously incredibly important to his team. But the best player on the best team usually wins the award. And the best player on the best team, no matter how many games he played in, and I think he hit 20 on Saturday night with his substitute appearance, is Lionel Messi. That's it. Lionel Messi is the MVP for 2024. Wrap it up. Put a bow on it, hand it to him. He's got to find some space. I don't know where this man puts all his awards. He just won an award from Marca. I just saw some pictures last week, before they went to New England, I guess. I'm sorry, before they played New England at home. He got an award from Marca in Miami. He obviously is getting awards left and right because he's just that guy. So he's got to find space. You got to clear out some space. Or maybe it's a rotation. What do you think? It's like a rotation thing in his house, Robert? Like sometimes this award is there, and then we take it out, we put a different award. That one goes in storage for a while. How do you think it plays out?
A trophy room with kind of like an airport, baggage claim conveyor belt where it's just constantly rotating, a slow turn where you just keep adding and adding and adding. And it's a case of the rich get richer, right? I mean, would the 8th different award he's received in the season mean as much to him as Cucho Hernandez, who probably doesn't have too many MVP awards on his shelf?
If we're going to say who would appreciate it most, it's probably not Lionel Messi, only because he's won everything. I mean, he's won Ballon d'Ors. That trumps the MLS MVP job by just a little bit. He's won, the most Ballon d'Ors of anybody in history. So it's probably not going to rank right there. But I will say this about Messi. He seems to be 100% engaged. He seems to take everything as it comes. I don't think he looks at the MVP and goes, oh, whatever. That's not his mentality. His mentality is thrilled to win it again because he just loves playing the game and he loves winning, and he's got right now the best team going into the MLS Cup playoffs. And I know we're going to talk about the bracket later in the show, so we'll take a look at what the path looks like for Inter Miami to do a double.
One more interesting note as the regular season wraps up, 4 players above the 20-goal threshold, which doesn't always happen that there's any at all in Major League Soccer. Bouanga with 20, Messi with 20, Suarez with 20, and the aforementioned Christian Benteke with 23. It always seems to be the case. Sorry, in his pomp, Christian Benteke on Aston Villa banging in goals. definitely another team on the outside looking in those